now we are live. We already have some attendees joining our webinar. Welcome, everybody. Today's webinar is about studying electrical engineering in Germany. I hope that you have looked at the degree program profiles before the webinar. If you haven't, we'll be sharing those in the chat section shortly so you can get your questions ready. So we have some really unique programs for you today. We have 2 bachelor's programs and 1 master's program. Let me do a very quick intro of our guests today. I know you see a lot of faces on your screen, and then they'll go in the background. So first we have Professor Dr. Stefan Mátéfi-Tempfli. He's a professor at the Faculty European Campus of Rothal-Inn of the Deggendorf Institute of Technology. He is going to be talking about a Bachelor of Engineering in Energy Systems Engineering today. Second, we have with us Catherine Müller, who is from the Study Office of Electrical Engineering and Information Technology at the University of Stuttgart. She's also the advisor for exchange programs and the Erasmus coordinator. So she has a lot of information for you if you're looking, if you're interested in any of those topics. And she will be talking about a Master of Science today in Electrical Engineering. And finally, our third guest speaker for today is Professor Dr. Thorsten Leize, who's the Professor of Intelligent Sensor Systems at the Karlsruhe University of Applied Sciences. And he's going to be featuring a Bachelor of Science in Electrical, excuse me, in Information Technology. Sorry. Sorry, need to clear my throat.
Sorry, guys. Just a moment.
Okay, wow, felt like a fly flew in my mouth, sorry. Okay, Eileen is going to be moderating for us today. Eileen, can you quickly, do you mind quickly doing the intro slides for me? Thanks.
Yes, of course, no problem. So hello, everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our guest speakers as well. So now I am just going to give a short intro about my German university. Let me just, show the presentation. So I don't know, most of you already know, but my German university is a startup based in Hamburg, and our mission is to help students in finding their way to study in Germany, which was my case and Jasmine's case too. And we are the biggest database of bachelor's and master's degree programs in English. We also have a lot of very useful articles in our website. I will send the link in the chat. Very useful and free information for everyone. We hold at least 2 webinars per week on different topics, which you can also check on our website. We are based in Hamburg, but we have an international team. For example, me, I am Brazilian and I currently live in Brazil, but we also have people from Georgia, from Peru, from the United States, and we also have webinars in some other languages. And today's topic is about electrical engineering, but as the moderator, I can also answer other questions that you guys may have in the Q&A section.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Eileen. Sorry, I'm alive and well again. So as Eileen said, she's going to go to the background and moderate. We're also going to say see you later to our guests. They're not going anywhere. They're just now going to turn off their cameras, and they will be back shortly when it's their time to present. So now that I'm fit again, so let me quickly tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm from MyGermanUniversity. And I took a very similar path that some of you are interested in taking. I came to Germany in 2015 when I was awarded a research fellowship from the Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung, or the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. They are a funding institution based in Bonn here in Germany. And I did a research fellowship for 1.5 years at a think tank in Berlin, focusing on cybersecurity and data protection policy after the Snowden scandal in Germany and Europe. After that, I completed my master's in international relations and global governance, also here in Germany at the University of Bremen. It was a joint program with the University of Bremen and Jacobs University Bremen, a private institution. And now I'm helping students take a very similar path and find their dream study program and find opportunities here in Germany. So I have a little experience on what it's like to take the big leap and come abroad. If you can't tell by my awful accent, I am from the United States originally, and now I call Berlin my home. So let's get started with today's topic. I don't want to take too much time because we have very special programs to focus on, and I want to make sure we leave plenty of time to focus on all of the information that we're going to talk about and the guest speakers, which I already introduced, but here they are again for you. So we're going to feature, as I said before, 2 bachelor's programs and 1 master's program. Please, whenever you're asking your questions, because we have so many guest speakers and different programs today, if you have a specific question about a particular study program, it would be fabulous if you just mention the name of the program or the university that you have a question about. Eileen, do you think you could go ahead and share the link for the Deggendorf team? You can share that link to in the chat section as well. All of the information for our first guest speaker, so students can already, excuse me, start looking at it and having their questions ready. That would be fabulous. So I'm going to go ahead and start. But again, please, if you are asking questions in the Q&A, if it's a specific question about a program, just try to keep it, just mention the name of the program or the university. That would be helpful because all of our guest speakers can see your questions and they can answer them as well. So you can direct your questions specifically to one of our guest speakers and they are there to answer them. So first, when looking at study programs, you want to know where to find the study program. And international students, even though many of you are looking for programs in English, you can also apply to German taught study programs. Where exactly do you find those study programs and how do you do that? Well, for German taught study programs, the first place, and I would say the only place you should look, is Hochschulkompass. This is the official database for the German Rectors Conference of Higher Education. And they have the most comprehensive database of German taught programs. So just for electrical engineering, they have 920 degree programs. They also show and display English programs, but of course we recommend a different one, which we'll talk about on the next slide. But here you can see the page of Hochschulkompass, what it looks like whenever you are searching on that platform. And just make sure that if you're interested in a German taught program, first make sure you are eligible and that you have a German language certificate that you need. And then you can, of course, apply and look at the additional requirements. For English taught programs, naturally, I'm going to recommend our study finder, which is our study database at MyGermanUniversity. I will recommend ours because it is the most comprehensive when it has the most German taught programs from universities in Germany. Please, however, feel free to also use the DAAD database. There are English programs on Hochschulkompass. We just have the most, which is why I recommend you use ours, just because it's more comprehensive. Make sure that you are also looking at eligibility requirements. You can filter for those. And you can see here that we have 134 degree programs for electrical engineering on our platform. So when you are searching, you can also look at the main subjects page. This kind of breaks down different degree programs by ranking, tuition fee, and so on. However, we encourage students, as important as rankings might be to you, please don't just focus on rankings or a name or a city. Please make sure that you expand your horizons a bit and that you aren't only limiting yourself to select programs for many reasons. First off, there are many quality study programs in Germany that are outside of Berlin and Munich, which are the 2 cities that students just know, and that's why they want to travel to them. There are also some excellent study programs from universities other than the ones that you might have heard of, like the Technical University of Munich or Freie in Berlin. There are many different universities, more than 400 universities in Germany, actually. And you might increase your chances. These programs from these universities are very competitive, and you might have a higher chance of getting into a different program. So don't just be guided by fees, rankings, etc. Even though most programs in Germany at public universities are tuition free, there are exceptions to that. Private universities, specialized programs like executive master's programs cost money, of course. The state of Baden-Württemberg in Germany has a tuition fee of 1,500 euros per semester for international students. So when you're looking, if finances are incredibly important to you, sure, you can filter for tuition-free programs, but don't limit yourself to these programs. If your dream study program happens to be at one of the elite universities in Baden-Württemberg, then think about applying for a scholarship to see if you can cover that. So there are many specific types of study institution that I can get into, but today I will keep it very general and talk about two main ones. The first one is a university, or Universität in German. Here, there are private and public universities, and here I list a few, just so you have an idea. The title, Technical University, this is also a type of, so I won't get into detail about the different specific types, but just the general. And the second type is a University of Applied Science, or a Fachhochschule, and this is going to be more practical-based programs. Here I have some examples so you can see, and of course there are public and private universities of applied sciences. So if you're wondering, okay, there's two types, what is the big difference, or how are they similar? What do I need to know? Well, what they have in common is that they're both reputable institutions. One is not better than the other. So if you're thinking, okay, well, where am I going to get a job? Which one do I have to go to? Which one looks better? Which one has a better degree? There is no answer to that. So for students who are always wondering, both of them just depends on the type of learning and teaching style you are looking for. So a master's degree from University of Applied Sciences is not going to be better or worse than one from a university. It really just depends on the type of learning experience you want. Typically, the biggest difference used to be that universities can confer doctoral programs and universities of applied sciences could not. However, this is changing. Many universities of applied sciences now offer doctoral programs either in collaboration with a university or individually. This has changed a lot in the recent years. So don't be limited and think, okay, well, I guess I have to go to a university. It depends on the teaching style you're looking for. And if you want to know what that is, universities of applied sciences are going to be a bit more hands-on, more practical, maybe have a traineeship as part of the study program, or include maybe a year of work or so on. So something like this that has an internship integrated and so on. And finally, when you are looking, just make sure you look at the university as a whole. So here we do this with our study finder, just to give you a preview, but don't only take into consideration tuition fee. Look at the type of program, deadlines, what semester you want to apply for. Make sure you keep all of these things in mind when you're applying. And if you are worried about whether it's tuition or it's your IELTS score, what have you, you can use filters to search for programs that are specifically catered to your needs. So I will stop talking here now. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our first guest speaker. I have here a screenshot of a map for those of you who are not as familiar with Germany. So we're going to feature here now the Bachelor of Engineering in Energy Systems Engineering, and this is where Deggendorf is, here at the bottom of Germany. So you have an idea. So I will stop talking now and hand it over to our first guest speaker.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction and also for the opportunity to present our study program at this forum, including the MyGermanUniversity and of course also our colleagues who facilitated that. So I will start perhaps sharing my screen. I have a few slides that I would like to show to you. And let me make it full screen. Okay, so hope you are seeing my screen. Let me introduce myself. So I am from the Deggendorf Institute of Technology. I am professor in this field of energy systems engineering. And this study program, actually, it is at one of the campuses of the university, which is the European campus Rotal in. And just a minute, slides are not moving on. Yeah, okay. So, and when we are talking about, so this actually session of today, this webinar is about electrical engineering in general, where you might ask yourself what energy systems engineering is doing into that. Well, actually, most of the energy forms, most of the issues and challenges that we have to address are in the field of electrical energy. Therefore, it is very well fitting into this topic. When we are talking about energy, I have to mention perhaps some facts, which is putting into the context why we need to have energy systems engineers, why we need, what are the challenges in that field. And in that respect, let me give you here some numbers about our global consumption of energy. When I mean global world consumption of energy, and you can see here the distribution of different energy forms. So I'm most particularly fossil energies that we are using as primary resources like coal, gas, oil. You can see that the distribution of them is more or less 1/3 of each of them, and only a minor portion of it is coming from renewable energies or hydro energies and or eventually nuclear energies. When we are looking to numbers, well, the numbers are enormously high. So here you have a unit that I'm introducing, EAJ, which is exajoule, which, as you can see here, is 10 to the power 18. That's a really, really huge number. And if you are looking to our global consumption, we can find out that this is the consumption that we have, world consumption, so about 500 exajoule, or there is another unit or are other common units that are used in that point of view. For example, the gigatons of oil equivalent. Sometimes it is used as an alternative form to that. According to that, we have that amount. Yeah, so 13, nearly 14 gigatons of oil equivalent. What that means, actually. Yeah, so this is just a number. Perhaps it's not telling us much. But if we are looking to that amount of gigatons of oil, then, and thinking on such kind of rail tanks, well, we can fill in, as you can see here, nearly 180 million of such rail tanks with oil, with the amount of energy that we are using each year. So that's a huge amount of energy. Still, perhaps it's not saying much. Well, if we would make a train out of that, the length of the train will have the 78 times the perimeter of the Earth. So you can have an idea about the amount of energies that we are using right now. And if you are looking to how was in the past and how is that in the future, well, we are still continuing to use more and more. And we are using a lot since several decades, and it is still continuing to increase. If you are looking to a kind of forecast on that, let's say in 10 years, you can see that there are some changes, not much, but there are nevertheless. Actually, the amount of other forms of energy will increase to higher the renewable part, perhaps a little bit higher hydro, and eventually nuclear as well. Let's see that perhaps in the next slide, where there is a longer forecast on that, actually, which is going back to 100 years. And we can see that we started to use these huge amounts of energy somewhere mid of the last century, and we are continuing to increase, to consume more and more. But what is important, we are now approaching a kind of transient period when we are at the point of depleting our resources. And this transient period is particularly critical because, as you can see, we start to have significant changes in the ways how we are looking and we are handling energies. More particularly, we will decrease in the next few decades, we will decrease the amount of fossil fuels, and we will try to rely on more and more on renewable and also nuclear. These changes are raising a lot of challenges for the today's society, and actually that's the main reason why we are addressing within our study program to train people for this transient period. And so that's a pretty old diagram, but it is very well confirmed by recent statistical analysis made by this company who is taking every year actually doing this statistic, is the British Petroleum, which is telling exactly the same. So even if that was an old forecast, it is a very good one, by the way. And it is previewing that we will practically use all our oil resources in about 50 years. So we should now think on preparing the people for that, preparing the society. We have to change many things in order to be able to address that, actually to address, first of all, in the immediate, this transition period, which needs to change everything, needs to change the consumption habits. First of all, eliminating waste. Now, if we are looking in the engineering point of view, of course, we have to develop new technologies and actually new, more efficient technologies in that respect. Of course, we have to go into the direction of renewable resources, or eventually look to new forms of renewables that compared to what we are using right now today. And of course, many other aspects like economical aspects, business models, even changing policies and others that are related to that. That's practically the background on which we started to develop our study program, because we want to address these challenges that the society is facing today. And the society needs actually highly skilled professionals that are able to address these challenges. Now, our study program, if we are looking to that we have at the Deggendorf Institute of Technology, the European campus, actually is addressing exactly that. It is looking to this transformation of energy systems that we have in the immediate and in the near future. And our study program is trying to address that in an application-oriented manner. So here you have the structure of our program, and also the different semesters within which you have the possibility to study the related content. Our study program is a bachelor study program over 7 semesters. And it's of course oriented about energy systems. We have at the beginning, we have some foundation courses related to general necessary knowledge for engineers, more particularly in the field of mathematics, informatics, physics, materials, chemistry, and of course electrical engineering, power engineering, also about materials. And then it is going into more specialized topics that are now very much related to the energy systems. And in particularly, as I mentioned, electrical energy is taking a very important role in this point of view, because most of these energy forms that I show you in the previous slides, actually, we are not using them as they are. We are transforming them, or most of them, to electrical energy. And we are dealing with electrical energy. And more particularly, here we have topics about power grid technologies, control of that, smart systems and smart technologies related to that one. And as a central point, of course, renewable and also including development of conventional forms, energy forms, and more particularly looking to sustainability. Now, our study program, as I mentioned, is application-oriented teaching. That means there are a lot of projects, and we also have a practical semester where we are expecting that you will go to a company for an internship to gain more practical experience beside what we are trying to transmit you through the study program. Now, in the point of view of career perspective, you can see here, so this is actually a brochure of the energy systems engineering that you can find on the web page. So here you have the link to that. This is the main web page of the university, and within that, the energy systems engineering bachelor program. I did not mention, but this is a bachelor program in English. Actually, our campus, the European campus total in, we have teaching nearly exclusively in English. And if looking to an overview of the different topics that we have, perhaps here we can identify on the first 2 semesters these general courses that I mentioned related to general math, informatics, well, electrical engineering, different levels, the beginning introduction, then later on going into the direction of power engineering, and later going in the direction of measurement and control engineering, and then specializing for different aspects related to energies, including also energy economy aspects, and so on. You can see here that we have many slots that are dealing with semester projects. So this is a little bit particular. This study program has many semester projects compared to any other energy engineering or other engineering study programs in general. We have a lot of project activities, and including the internship that I mentioned, which is over 1 semester during the 5th semester. And we also have several slots for electives. And here you can see that we are providing a big number of electives that are trying to further train you in specialized directions that we are considering well necessary, but in complement to the fundamental things and the specialized things that we are addressing within this study program. Of course, the study program is ending in a bachelor thesis, which is also a practical work. Of course, there might be theoretical aspects into that, like modeling, but of course, we are very much expecting practical activities within the bachelor thesis as well. In general, our bachelor thesis we are recommending our students to have such bachelor thesis in collaboration with companies. But of course, we are also offering different topics that are related to our activities, research activities, ongoing activities. So this is the study program that we have is running, and you have the possibility to apply. Now, in the point of view of application, we are just in the application period now for the next semester, which you can see here, it is ending at 15th of July. So you still have the possibility, if you are opting for this study program, to apply. You can apply through our online portal. We have also an assessment system for entrance level. So you have to take a test at the very beginning before applying, and you have to then attach to all your documents actually kind of result, a certificate that you are getting from this test. For further details, I'm sure that my colleagues will help you to clarifying if you have anything in that. We are expecting, as you can see here, that you have a good knowledge of English, because teaching is happening in English. And we are also expecting, and it is, I would say it's a kind of requirement to some extent when you are going into an internship into a company. Of course, there are many companies where you can use, of course, English as well, but in most of the cases, it would be better if you are improving your knowledge in German. So we are expecting that you are learning a little bit of German if you don't know already. And in that respect, there are a lot of language courses that you can take in parallel with the other courses that you have within the study program to improve your knowledge in this respect. And what else that I wanted to mention? Yes, as I said, my colleagues will be pleased to answer to your questions if you have anything in that direction. Well, here, of course, this is just few pictures about our campus. I am welcoming you in at this campus to this study program, actually in Pfarrkirchen. This European campus Rottalin is located some 60 kilometers away, 50 kilometers away from the main campus, which is in Deggendorf. But that's a beautiful, small little town and very cozy. And yeah, well, so I am welcoming you there. Looking forward to see you soon, perhaps over the next semester. And thank you for your participation.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your presentation. And thank you so much for keeping an eye on the time. I see you were perfectly punctual. That's very, very German to be perfectly punctual. So there are so many questions that your team is just like answering right and left. So if you want to take a peek at the Q&A, so you can have something ready for the live Q&A session later. But for now, I will go ahead and hand it over to our next guest speaker. So we have Katharina Müller from the Study Office of Electrical Engineering and Information Technology. And again, also other roles. So please make sure you have questions ready for her if you're interested in any of those other programs. And she's going to be talking about the Master of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Stuttgart. Here I put on the map where Stuttgart is, if you're not as familiar with it, and you don't know this area in the Baden-Württemberg, this region of Germany, it's there on the map for you. So I will go ahead and hand it over.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to participate in this seminar. I think it's a very good idea. My name is Catherine, and I'm working for the Study Office Electrical Engineering and Information Technology at the University of Stuttgart. I will now try to share the presentation with you. Okay, I hope you see it all. So now I would like to give you some information about the University of Stuttgart and the English taught master program Electrical Engineering. The University of Stuttgart was founded in 1829. We are a technically oriented university known for integrating engineering, natural and social sciences, and the humanities in an interdisciplinary fashion. We are located in the south of Germany, as you saw before. Stuttgart is the capital of the federal state of Baden-Württemberg. And often when you ask people, how do you know Stuttgart, or what do you know about Stuttgart, you get the answer, oh, I know Porsche and Daimler and Bosch. But of course, that's not all. Stuttgart is a popular business location for over 30,000 companies from various industries. For example, from automotive industry, electronics and information technology, and mechanical engineering. To give you an idea about the size of the university, we have 24,500 students at 10 faculties, 265 full professors, 3,100 academic staff in total, and 1,900 non-academic staff. The university has 2 locations. One campus is in the city center with the faculties of architecture and humanities and social sciences. And the other campus, which is the main campus, is located in Stuttgart-Vaihingen. Actually, the pictures you see in the background is all pictures of the main campus in Stuttgart-Vaihingen. Furthermore, we have about 5,300 international students from more than 100 countries and more than 500 partner universities throughout the world. The Department of Electrical Engineering and Information Technology belongs to the Faculty 5 of the University of Stuttgart. The Faculty 5 is divided into two departments. We have the Department of Computer Science and the Department of Electrical Engineering. At the Department of Electrical Engineering, we have 1,600 students in 5 study programs, 15 institutes, and 17 professorships. Now you can see our professors. For example, here we have Professor Manfred Berroth, who is the Dean of the faculty. And here in the third row, we have Professor B.Eng, who is the Study Dean of the Master of Electrical Engineering. The master's program Electrical Engineering is a 2-year program covering the traditional foundations of electrical engineering and information technology. It's completely taught in English. That means that you don't need to prove any knowledge of German for the application. It has a high degree of freedom in customizing the master program according to the student's interests. Just 1 second. The master program offers 6 majors, which are smart information processing, communication systems, nano and optoelectronics, power electronic systems and technologies, smart systems, and electromagnetics and applications. At the very beginning of their studies, our students have to decide for one of those 6 majors. And within each major, the students can select 6 core modules out of up to 11 core modules offered for each major. I would like to show you that a little bit more in detail because it's sometimes complicated. Here we have the example of the major smart information processing. And if you choose this major, you have to choose 6 modules from the 10 modules listed here. So you could, for example, choose as your core modules information theory, deep learning, communications 2, communication 3, and so on. That's just the example for smart information processing. Furthermore, our students have to select 5 elective modules out of a catalog of 50 elective modules. I will not put the list of the 50 modules. Then there is a so-called key qualification, which is a module which is like a non-technical course. For example, academic writing or a language course. And a master lab course, which is like an internship in the laboratories of the department's institutes. Furthermore, there is a research project with a duration of 3 months that can be carried out in an industrial company. So you don't have to do the research project at the university, but the master's thesis has to be done at one of our institutes. Here you can see our program structure for electrical engineering, but please consider this as an example only, because the students are quite free to arrange which courses you take when and which courses you take and when you take them. For example, you don't have to do the 2 core modules each semester. For example, you could do 3 of them in the first semester, 2 of them in the second semester, and 1 of them in the third semester. And the key competences don't have to be done in the second semester. You can choose to do them in the first semester or, for example, in the third semester. So this is just an example. Once you finish your master studies, there will be plenty of opportunities for you. And you could, for example, decide to do your PhD. You could work in research and development in international corporations, medium-sized companies and small startups, or even in sales and application support or management and consulting. A recently conducted survey at the University of Stuttgart found out that 50% of our graduates found employment 1 month or less after graduation, and 93% of our graduates found employment 6 months after graduation. So I think that's a very good perspective. The admission requirements include a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, information technology, or a related field, and the level of C1 of English. The application for admission is possible for both winter and summer semesters, and the application deadlines are January 15th for the winter semester, starting in October, or July 15th for the summer semester, starting in April. Like Jasmine already said, in Baden-Württemberg, we do have tuition fees. So our international students have to pay 1,500 euro per semester, and additionally, the regular semester fee of currently 200 euro. For further information, you can have a look at our web pages, the pages of the Department of Electrical Engineering and Information Technology, and the Master of Electrical Engineering, and of course our international service point, which has a lot of useful information as well. And there is a very nice project by our international office, which is called Get Your Studies Off to a Perfect Start. And it's an introductory course on how you start your university studies, including videos and podcasts, tips and tricks from fellow students, and web seminars. I really recommend it. It's very, very interesting. And you can learn a lot about financing your studies, finding a job, scholarships, but also the experiences of your fellow students. So thank you very much for your attention. And I hope that the information I gave you was useful. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And this is exactly one of the programs that I urge students to keep an open mind for when they think like, oh, well, I want to go to a program that doesn't have tuition fees. And then they look for all of these like top universities, and a lot of them are in Baden-Württemberg. And they're just like, oh, okay, well, maybe I will consider paying some tuition fees. So thank you so much for your program, for introducing your program, sorry. And I did see some questions in the Q&A. I'm going to bring all of those questions for the session at the end again. And I think just one quick thing, it was so interesting how you mentioned this, how there's kind of this like introductory like podcast and all of this information. I thought that was very cool and very interesting. That stood out to me. But I will go ahead and introduce our final guest speaker today before we open it up to our Q&A session and we bring our guest speakers back. And our final program is another bachelor's program, a Bachelor of Science program in Electrical Engineering and Information Technology. And we have Professor Dr. Thorsten Leize, who from the Karlsruhe University of Applied Sciences, who's going to introduce this program. And here is where Karlsruhe is, for those of you who don't know where that is on the German map. So I will go ahead and hand it over to you.
So thank you for the nice introduction, and also for the possibility to present our university today. First of all, I will try to share my screen. Well, this is not.
I think maybe it just should be zoomed out a little bit.
Do you see something?
I see the map and like some words, but it's really close up. So it looks like maybe it needs to be zoomed out.
Okay. Mm. I can't change it.
Is it a presentation that's maybe online? I could also.
Yes, I have a stop share. Maybe I better come back and give the link to the PDF in the
Sure. Yeah, we could see it. It was just very zoomed in. Let me see if I can open it.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Oh, this happens so often. No problem at all. I think I can't access this. I have to have a special login, an administrative login. Maybe if you're able to open it and then just, could you zoom out of it or like scroll out? I could see everything. It was just really close up.
Yes, I will try again.
Sure. Yeah, I tried to access it. It says I need to have a special login information, unfortunately. I see the whole screen now. It's a little, I see the full screen. I think this works. We can do this, yes.
I don't see anything anymore.
Ah, so. Well, that's problematic. Yeah, I see presentation, introduction, and so on.
You see in the front slide now?
Yes.
Okay, so then I trust that it's visible to you. So I can start. Sorry for the delay. I would like to introduce a bit University of Applied Sciences in Karlsruhe and introduce a bit to the location. We already saw where it is located, and then a few words about the university. And then we peep into the department and its courses. And then the main topic will be about our new international bachelor degree course. And finally, I will also have a short look into our master degree program. So as we saw on the map, Karlsruhe is located in Baden-Württemberg. That's the light gray state in the southwest of Germany, quite close to the border of France. So it's maybe 20 kilometers to reach France. And south of Baden-Württemberg is Switzerland. And it's a very nice region there. First of all, it's one of the warmest regions in Germany. That's especially nice in summers. And it's also a region full of history. So there's a lot of historic places. So if you're interested in history and in old architecture, you are very good there. So few words about the city of Karlsruhe. It's one of the former capitals of the part Baden of Baden-Württemberg. So we have a nice palace in the middle of the city. And as you can see, if there's no coronavirus around, then we even have crowds for music and good festivals in our city. Of course, we, as a University of Applied Sciences, we have a strong tradition of close links to partner companies. And we are one of 10 universities in Karlsruhe. So besides us, in the top left corner, there is the traditional university, Karlsruhe University of Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, then the University of Cooperative Education, the University of Music, University of Education. All these are public universities, but there also are some private universities. We are one of the biggest universities of applied sciences in Baden-Württemberg. This is an air view of Karlsruhe with the palace. And as you can see, it's an artificially designed city. It's not that old. And all these beams are like sunbeams. The streets all are directed towards the tower of the palace. That's very nice. It's also a green city where you have nothing than forest to the north of the palace. Also our campus, this is our main campus. The campus is quite green, as you can see. And our department has the newest building. That's the building marked at this slide. Our old building with the Red Cross is not existing anymore. This has been deconstructed a few months ago. For University of Applied Sciences, we are quite old university, and we have more than 8,000 full-time students currently, 210 full professors at the total university, and 6 faculties, where we are one of them. We run several programs. We traditionally run one bachelor program in German language. That's a combination of older separated bachelor degree programs, and it has 6 areas of specialization as given on the slides. And we have this new one added to this. We have this new one in English language starting in October, or in fact, end of September of this year. So this is very new, and that's why it's not yet well known. So there are good chances if you apply now. And we have the long running, one of the oldest international master degree programs. It's been started in 1998, besides the German language master degree program. So all these are the programs run by the department. The department itself currently has 35 professors. So we have a very good ratio of students per professor. So we are in very close contact. That's generally one of the properties of such a type of university in Germany. You have good chances to work closely together with your professors. We have an application-oriented education. As I said, we have close industry contacts. And in our type of university, all the professors have to have industry experience of several years before they can be appointed professor at our university. As I said, we have a long tradition of also international students, especially in our master degree program, and all have best and always had best job chances in German industry, in Baden-Württemberg, and also in the other states. So let's have a look at the new program. It will start in this winter semester, and the current plan is to start once a year. So it will only start in winter semesters in October each year. And it's a 100% English taught program. So you, for the studies at least, you don't need any German language, as I will tell later, or it's even given on this slide. Nevertheless, for the bachelor degree program, you need a certificate of German language knowledge of A1 level minimum to be admitted at the time of registration of at the university. So it's still time to do this if you don't have it yet. Let's have a look at the different modules in this course. So the first 2 semesters are the basic study period. And as we all also saw in previous talks, that's a common thing. There you get all the fundamentals like mathematics, physics, programming. Physics 1, physics 2 is electromagnetic fields, electronics, of course, circuit analysis, digital electronics. And in parallel, you have language courses for those who who don't have B2 upwards level of German language knowledge. It's German language. And in parallel, you also have courses for intercultural communication. So you get some knowledge about scientific work and some scientific habits in Germany. From semester 3, it's the main study period, and we continue with some mathematics and programming, and also a third language module. But from then, we also start with big blocks of focal subjects where you can choose from a wide range of offered subjects in the focal areas that are offered in our department. It's quite a big department with a lot of different special fields of interest for the different professors, and therefore we have a wide range of subjects. Also, as is given in this slide, most of the subjects are accompanied by lab experiments. Semester 5 is an industry internship. So full semester you can get first insight into industry, and focal subjects block also follows in semester 6 and semester 7. And semester 7 mainly also covers the thesis project. And the thesis project, if you like, you also can do in industry. So there's plenty of opportunities to get some industry experience during your studies. The focal subjects from which you can choose are sensor systems technology, environmental measurement technology, mobility, electrical energy and renewable energy, automation, and information technology. Deadline for international students already is gone for this year. It was 15th of May to have time enough for visa process. There might be, if we still have some open places, there might be possibilities to register late. So please, if you are interested to join in September, you can have a look at start of August if there are still some free places. For EU residents, the deadline is 15th of July. So also EU residents are welcome to apply, and there still is some time left. 15th of July is the deadline. As I said, we already run an international master degree program in sensor systems technology. Since I'm running out of time, I keep it short. It's a 4 semesters program. It's well established, so we have long experience in this. And the deadline for application for this is 15th of November for international students. We also start once a year with this program, but always in March. So we have one intake a year in March for the international master degree program. These are contact details. If you like to contact me and ask some questions, you're very welcome to write to me, and I will happily answer your questions. Thank you for your attention today.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm glad we were able to make it work. So we saw everything perfectly. So thank you so much for being patient and working with it. There are a lot of questions in the Q&A, and many of them have already been answered, but I have been looking at the ones that are answered and the ones that are there and kind of been collecting a few. So the first one that I would like to address is one that talks about the language certificate that students need to have to demonstrate their English language skills. So many students are asking that they've already had classes in English in a previous degree program, if they still have to provide an English certificate. So I know this may or may not be in your control, and I know this is maybe guidelines that are set up by something else in the university, but that the rules kind of are the way they are. So when it comes to the English language certificate, you have to have an English language certificate, and the only way out of that is if you're a native speaker, or if you did your previous degree in English. Is that correct? Or does anybody want to add anything to that? Are there any exceptions, any other certificates that aren't accepted, that maybe your university accepts that other ones don't? Anyone that's a question for Stuttgart, Karlsruhe, and Deggendorf when it comes to the language certificate. Eileen just posted an article about English language requirements for degree programs in Germany. So for all of those of you who are concerned about that, please look at the article Eileen posted. But if anyone has any input, I think the rules are the way that you need to have a certificate unless you're a native speaker or do your previous degree. Does anybody want to add to that? Don't be shy.
Yes, maybe for Karlsruhe, we don't accept to have English previous degree. We always ask for a certificate.
Okay, yeah.
No exception for this.
Okay, and that's common for many universities. So if you're a native English speaker, you can demonstrate that. But if you did your previous degree, you just have to have a certificate. So take a look at the requirements individually from the course websites. They were all shared in the chat section, so you can scroll through that and look at the course websites of each individual study program to see what the requirements are. And if it says you need to have some sort of English certificate, then you need to have some sort of English certificate. If you have any specific detailed questions, then again, please use the form on the course website to follow up and ask. So someone, for example, is asking, where do I need to do a test of English if we're taught in English? So you have to find out where in your home country you can do that, like where these tests are administered. So I don't know, I would just say Google where you can do the English test in your home country, because I mean, I could Actually, I couldn't tell you. Anyways, I don't know. I'm a native English speaker, but I would just look it up and you can find where you can do these tests. Maybe because of COVID right now, it will be more difficult for you to find a test, but then maybe contact the university that you're interested in applying to and ask them about the English language certificate. So somebody was asking about an internship, and I lost the question. I think it was answered. So somebody was asking about an internship and if it's possible to do an internship. There are a lot of questions answered. I can't find it anymore. But internships. So does anybody want to touch? Oh, they were asking if the thesis topic is selected for you and if there's assistance with internships. So I think the rule is that thesis topics are not selected for you and students can have the power to kind of create their own. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but with internships, how exactly does that work? I know it was covered in some of the presentations, but maybe if you could answer more questions a little in depth. Is it flexible to do an internship with your study programs? I mean, to all 3 unis, or is this individually from each student? Thanks, Eileen.
Maybe I can start.
Sure.
At the University of Stuttgart or at the master program electrical engineering, we don't have internships at in industry, for example. Of course, our students can do it, but it's voluntarily.
Okay. And is there flexibility? So students, it's okay for students to finish maybe a semester later, or because of the course modules, how they're set up, is it a little tricky to do an internship?
No, but of course, it's always an individual decision, maybe sometimes depending also of the finances of the students, because I think students could do the master's program for about 8 semesters. So they don't need to finish the master in 4 semesters, but as we have the tuition fee, sometimes it might be very interesting for them to finish it earlier.
Yeah, of course, I understand. Yeah, but that's a really excellent point, actually. So students need to keep in mind, like, you need to balance out your finances with an internship because they still have to pay the tuition fee to keep their student status during the internship. And they have to also finance themselves for an internship. I think with some fields, internships are probably less common, and I think this would be one of them, unless they're interested in a more technical program from a University of Applied Sciences. So maybe Karlsruhe, if you want to give any input and talk about internships, are they common? Is it voluntarily on a voluntary basis like Stuttgart and Deggendorf as well? If you know how internships would work with these programs.
Yeah, in Karlsruhe, it depends on the bachelor. It's mandatory. We have 1 semester of internship in 5th semester. And in the master degree program, we don't have a mandatory internship, but experience shows that the students love to do internships to get more industry experience. But as it was said, it's up to the students. So I don't recommend it, but students always do.
Actually, I have another question for you since you're, I guess, here, since your camera's on. When it comes to, someone else had asked about employment. When it comes to employment after study programs, especially since it's maybe less common to do an internship if you're in the field of electrical engineering, what is employment in Germany like for your students after their study programs? Pretty good, or you were just not sure?
I'm not sure what the question is about. It's quite easy. So it's some years ago that I last time did some statistics, but most of the students had some jobs 1 or 2 months after finishing their degree. So it was very quick. Now in the pandemic situation, it's a bit slower, and companies are a bit more restrictive but still my students always get jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I
so
think
at least of the master degree level. I don't have I don't have international experience with international bachelor alumni, but the masters always get jobs. So all of them, if they want, in Germany, and most of them prefer to stay in Germany at least for some time after finishing their studies, and they all get good jobs and well-paid jobs also.
Yeah, I think, thank you for answering that. I think many students should know that when you're applying or when you're completing a bachelor's program, that your job opportunities are not as high in Germany than if you're completing a master's program. So that's a really great point that you made. Thank you for that. So if you are completing a master's program in Germany, you'll have higher job opportunities here than if you're completing a bachelor's program. So keep that in mind. However, any student that graduates from a German institution has a right to an 18-month job-seeking visa upon completion of their studies. Their student visa, they can kind of exchange it for a job-seeking visa, and they can find a job within 18 months in their field. So you can keep that in mind. You have some time to look for a job here in Germany. But if you find one in months, even better, right? So there's some questions specifically for Uni Stuttgart. I will leave them there. I'm talking about employment status and also someone who had already applied to the program. So maybe Katharina, if you want to look at the Q&A section, there's a few questions for Uni Stuttgart about that. I want to go to some more general questions that have been asked about all of the programs. And one of them is about eligibility requirements, which I know all of you have touched in detail on the eligibility requirements of each of your programs. But some students were asking how important it is to have course modules in which topic. I don't want to go in depth because you all already highlighted that in your presentations, and it's also on the course websites. However, there were questions about job experience. This is something that I think is not as common in Germany to be prioritized with applications for study programs. Maybe in other countries it is, but how important is it for a student to have job experience? Is it important? Is it look nice, but it's not so important? Maybe if you could talk about that. I saw a few questions talking about job experience and how many years of experience they should need. I guess it would be different if it's a bachelor's and a master's program. So probably a bachelor's program, not very much, but maybe let's say a master's program. Is job experience really important for a master's program? Maybe Katharina, if you want to answer that because of the master's program.
Just 1 second, I was with the question and answers.
Yes, no problem. I know it's overwhelming. You have questions in front of you and I'm asking you questions here and it's a lot.
Yeah, sorry. Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. So about, oh, now I just forgot what my question was.
I think it was about the job experience.
No, yeah, the job experience. And so I think for bachelors, it's probably less important. And I think generally in Germany, universities are not really looking for job experience, but maybe you know more than I do. So for master's programs, for example, for this master's program, some students ask how important it is to have certain years of job experience. Is that
not really important? No, it's it can be a plus, but usually it's enough to have the bachelor's degree.
Yeah. Okay. And someone asked in the Q&A about a minimum GPA. I know that in Germany, that's also not really so, like, that's not really used. I know in the US, they usually have, don't apply unless you have this, but is there a minimum GPA or not really?
For the Master of Electrical Engineering, we don't have a minimum GPA.
Okay. Okay, but of course, that doesn't mean that just anyone with whatever GPA will get accepted. Just so students know, and they're like, oh, that doesn't have a GPA minimum, let me apply. No, of course not. Since I have you, one question that students always have is about the application process. Mm-hmm. So does your program use Uni Assist or is it direct apply through the university?
It's direct apply.
Okay.
And the application is open, I think, only 6 weeks before the deadline.
Okay.
So, for example, students who would like to apply now still would have to wait a little bit, like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then they have an application slot for about 4 weeks.
Also, okay. But that doesn't mean they can't start gathering their materials, even though it's not open. They should start now, right? Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Do any of the other 2 universities, maybe if you could touch on the application process, is it direct apply? Is it via Uni Assist? Just so students have an idea. Deggendorf or Stuttgart, or Karlsruhe?
Well, in Karlsruhe, it's direct apply.
Okay.
Direct application at the website.
Perfect. Yeah, I think a lot of students really like direct apply. And when it comes to, you already talked about eligibility requirements, but students, please look at the course websites when it comes to eligibility requirements. I know there are so many questions that, oh, I have this GPA and I have this. Can I still qualify? Is it still okay? And of course, we have these special guests that have a lot of detailed knowledge, but they still are not the admissions committee. So they can tell you, oh, that the may increase your chances, but they also can't guarantee you admission. So as much as we appreciate your detailed questions, please make sure you refer to the course website. I am about out of time. Let me just take a look. Okay, so there's a few questions about an entrance exam. So do any of the programs, I didn't see that in the presentations, but are there any entrance exams that students have to worry about? Some students are applying with having taken kind of other entrance exams like a GMAT or a GRE or things like this. Do you require any of that? Should students send them if they have these scores? Anyone?
So in Karlsruhe, we don't require any entrance exams. And for the bachelor degree program, we also don't need them. We don't look at them. For the master degree program, it's good to hand them in as additional information if you have it.
So, okay, yeah, that's good to know.
So the admission committee has a look on this at least.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's really great input for students to know. Deggendorf and Stuttgart, would you like to put any input entrance exams? Again, I didn't see anything about entrance exams, but if students, I don't know, have like SAT scores or GRE scores, should they submit them? Is it going to help them?
Of course, they can submit them, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
But in some cases, it might help, actually.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So depends on the score. So maybe if you did not do so well, maybe you don't submit them. But if you did fabulously, why not? I guess. Sure, that's a really great point. Thank you for that. Okay, so there are, okay, this question was already answered. Entrance exam, I just answered as well. And visa, a work visa to work in Germany. Yes, so again, for students who want to find a job after your study program, any student that graduates from a German university is eligible for an 18-month job-seeking visa. So you don't have to do anything special to qualify. If you just graduate from a German university, you can change your student visa to this job-seeking visa. You have 18 months. It has to be in your field. So you can't just graduate from the Bachelor's of Electrical Engineering and then work as a barista in a cafe. It's like, oh, can I stay in Germany? That's not how it works. You have to prove that it's in your field. There are a lot of steps you take, but no, you won't have to leave right away. You can look for a job in your field. And with this really booming field of electrical engineering, I think you can find a job. And if you take some German classes during your studies, you will have greater chances of finding a job, in my opinion. I just say that, but I think German's really important, so students shouldn't just neglect it because the programs are in English. Okay, so I have already answered. There's just one question here, the difference between energy systems engineering and electrical engineering. I can't answer that myself because I didn't study electrical or energy systems engineering. If one of our guest speakers wants to answer that, I have no knowledge about it. But if not, I think that was actually our last question because I answered all of our other questions live today. If you have any further questions, so participants who are joining us today, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Please send any questions you may have to our email. And if there's specific questions about the study programs we featured today, I will be sure to forward them to the appropriate person responsible for answering them, and also provide links to the course website. We will send a follow-up email in the next weeks with the information, the presentations from today's webinar, and further details. So I will go ahead and wrap up the webinar today. Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much to our guest speakers for joining us. If you have just 5 minutes, again, please join me separately in the Zoom meeting for some feedback, very quick feedback round. But otherwise, thank you all so much. And it's been a pleasure, and see you in the next webinar. Bye.